Okay, so let's unpack this. You know how everyone says your next big idea will just hit you, like maybe in the shower, okay, or on a morning run. You scribble it down on a napkin, yeah.
Yeah.
Convinced it's the next $1 million thing.
Yeah.
But then, well, nothing really happens. The idea just kind of fades. You overthink it. You start seeing all the flaws, and that napkin ends up in the trash. Another forgotten
Well,
concept.
yeah, if that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. It happens all the time. And what's really fascinating is how we usually try to find ideas. It's often rooted in our own cleverness,
Yeah.
which sounds good, but the human brain, it's actually like surprisingly bad at inventing truly great business ideas on its own. Our ego gets in the way. We get confirmation bias,
Mm.
where we only look for stuff that backs up our first hunch. Or the availability heuristic makes us focus on our problems, the ones we see easily, not necessarily big market pains. So we end up building these like really complex solutions,
Mm.
but for problems nobody actually has, or at least not many people. That napkin idea often dies because we're just too close to it. Can't see if it really fits the market.
Mm. So what if you could kind of fire your biased brain from that invention part? What if you could be more like a prospector instead of an inventor? Imagine having a map, right? That showed you exactly where real customer problems are buried, just like waiting there until very recently is kind of deep market research. That would need expensive teams, months of work.
Exactly. And connecting that to today, now it might just need a few clever AI tools. And
Okay.
surprisingly, maybe only about 45 minutes of your time, which raises a big question.
Yeah.
What if you could shortcut that whole painful cycle? The invention, the guessing, the frustration.
Right. Welcome, then, to the gold mining framework. This is a revolutionary step-by-step system. It uses artificial intelligence to go from basically a blank slate to validated, potentially million-dollar startup ideas. Our mission for you today is to show how, in about 45 minutes of focused work, you can do exactly that. We're going to walk through this whole process together. We'll use a real case study, an app called Transition. You'll see how this system builds a real business idea, even creates a high-converting landing page using the customer's own words. Ready to start collecting emails, it's not about guessing, it's about listening. Really listening to real customer conversations. Okay, let's grab our tools and start the expedition.
All right, let's do it. Our expedition starts in what we call the map room, basically charting your course to a profitable market. Every great gold rush, it starts with a map, right? A prospector doesn't just wander randomly. They study known territories, places where gold has been found before. In the business world, there are these three great continents, you could say. Places where treasure is always found because they represent fundamental, unchanging human needs.
Right. And these aren't continents you invent. They're already there. You've got health, that timeless desire for physical, mental, emotional well-being. Wealth, the fundamental need for financial security, career growth, prosperity, and relationships, that universal drive for connection, love, family, social standing. People will always spend money to solve painful problems in these three areas. Always. They're like the bedrock of being human. So your first job as a gold prospector isn't to invent a new continent. It's to choose one of these proven territories to explore. Pick an area where you have some personal interest, maybe even a frustration. That's your edge.
Exactly. So for our case study, let's say you decide to explore the huge continent of relationships. Now, relationships on its own, that's massive. Like trying to search all of Asia for one tiny gold nugget, you need to narrow it down. And this is where we bring in our first AI tool. Think of it like a high-tech geological survey machine. You don't just ask an AI like Claude or Gemini for ideas. That's too vague. Instead, you give it a broad territory, like relationships, and you instruct it to act as a market segmentation expert. Tell it to break that territory down, hierarchically, into smaller and smaller pieces.
Okay, so you tell your AI, map the relationships market. And the AI, following this logic, might give you something like relationships, continent, dating and romance region, online dating, mountain range, dating app optimization, and then down to specific valleys, like maybe photo enhancement or bio writing help. Or for our transition example, it could be something like professional relationships, business partnerships, partnership dissolution, and then down to the specific valley of client transition.
Look at that last one again. What's fascinating there is how specific it is. It's a niche within a niche, within another niche. It's not just parenting. It's the specific, often really emotionally charged moment of a child transitioning between the homes of divorced parents who often really don't get along. The pain in that specific valley is likely to be intense, urgent even, and an intense, urgent problem. That is a very, very strong sign of potential gold.
Yeah, that's gold right there. So this first step is crucial. You haven't invented anything. You haven't brainstormed a solution. You've simply used an AI assistant, right, guided by a smart framework to systematically explore a proven market and find a specific promising spot where a real painful problem probably exists. This is where we begin our search for something like the transition application.
Precisely. So once we've charted our course, the next big question is there actually gold in these hills? How do we read the land, look for signs of a truly profitable vein? That brings us to our next phase. Reading the land, is there actually gold in these hills? You've picked your territory, you've identified a specific valley on the map that looks promising, say, high-conflict co-parenting transitions. But before you commit fully, a smart prospector looks for signs of life, right? Are there fresh footprints? Are people talking about this in the local town?
Yeah, in business, we call this demand validation. Before you invest any more time, you absolutely need proof that people are actively looking for a solution to the problem you found. Guessing is your enemy. Data is your friend. And for this, we use two pretty simple but really powerful tools.
Okay, your first test. See if a search party is already looking for gold in this valley. You just use a simple Google search, maybe combined with a browser extension like Keywords Everywhere. That extension shows you an estimate of how many people search for specific phrases each month. Now, here's where some people make a critical mistake. They see others searching for solutions and think, oh no, it's saturated. That's totally the wrong mindset. If you find signs of other people already digging, it actually proves there's gold there. Complete silence is way scarier for a prospector.
Totally. Couldn't agree more. And when you search terms related to our transition case study, wow, you find some powerful signals. Like co-parenting app might get, say, 40,000 searches a month. That's what we call solution-aware search. People already know apps exist for this problem. Fantastic sign. Co-parenting counseling maybe gets 25,000 searches. That shows people are willing to pay for help. And co-parenting classes, that shows people are actively trying to learn, to improve. I mean, wow, tens of thousands of people searching every single month.
Right. A high search volume tells you people want this now. But you also want to know if this is a stable, long-term thing or just a flash in the pan, a temporary fad. For this, we use Google Trends. It basically shows you whether interest in a topic is growing, stable, or dying out over time.
Yeah, you want to see a chart that shows steady or ideally growing interest over maybe the last 5 years. You want to avoid those wild spikes and crashes. Those usually suggest a fad. And when you look up co-parenting on Google Trends, you see a solid, steadily growing line. It just makes total sense, right? It's a real-world problem. It's driven by long-term societal changes, not some temporary trend. So with these two checks, search volume and trends, you can be pretty confident you're in a proven, stable, growing market. Okay, time to go deeper.
Indeed. Now we need to find the richest veins of gold. This brings us to the secret mine. Find the vein of gold on Reddit. You've confirmed you're in the right territory. Good market. Now comes maybe the most important part of the whole expedition. Finding the place where people talk honestly about their problems. You don't want their polite, public-facing opinions. No, you want the raw stuff, the unfiltered frustrations. You want to hear what really hurts when, no one important is listening,
And this magical place, it actually exists. It's Reddit. Think of Reddit as the anonymous saloon in an old gold rush town. It's where prospectors go after a long, hard day to complain, right? To share their secret struggles, ask for help without worrying about being judged. That anonymity, it's like a truth serum there. People on Reddit will tell you exactly what hurts, what they've tried that failed, what they secretly wish they had. This is where you find the purest gold. But you can't just browse subreddits randomly. That's inefficient. You need a special kind of metal detector. And this comes in the form of an advanced Google search query.
Right, this is the magic formula. It uses what we call advanced Google operators. It looks something like this. Your niche site.reddit.com, inuralgirl.comments, inurl.thread, problem, struggle, frustrated, overwhelmed, wish I had this hurt. Something like
Okay, hold on. Let's break that down because it looks a bit complex. Site.reddit.com, that just tells Google to look only on Reddit, right?
Correct.
Then your niche, that's your specific topic, like co-parenting, in quotes.
Yep.
The inaural commands target specific types of Reddit pages, like comments or threads where the good discussions happen.
Exactly.
And then the crucial part, the bit, in parentheses, problem, struggle, frustrated, using those pipe symbols for or are, that finds posts with any of those really emotionally charged keywords.
That's the key. It ensures you're filtering for pain, not just general chit-chat.
Ah, okay, so it kind of ignores all the academic stuff, the generic advice, and just zooms in on real people expressing real, like, emotional pain.
Precisely. So you run this search. You'll probably get a lot of results. Ignore the posts with only 1 or 2 comments. Not much there. You're looking for threads, maybe from the last 6 months or so, that have lots of engagement, lots of comments. You quickly find a thread titled something like, "This is co-parenting," and it has hundreds of comments. Bingo. That's a gold mine. You start reading. And not just the original post, but every single comment. This is where the richest insights for your startup idea are hiding. You find parents saying things that are just heartbreakingly honest, like, "Gonna say this for anyone who reads this and is worried you need to spend your birthday with your ex." Or even, "You mean co-parenting isn't telling you in front of your son that you are the reason their grandmother died?" Or straight up lying to CPS about you.
Wow, hearing those quotes, you really realize it's not just some abstract problem, it's a raw, deeply human struggle. So what do you do then? You open a document like a Google Doc or whatever, and you just start copying and pasting these raw, emotional quotes. You're not judging them, right? Not trying to solve them yet. You're just gathering the raw ore. After maybe an hour, your document is filled with dozens of these, like golden nuggets of pure, unfiltered customer pain. Just gather the raw ore. Don't judge yet.
Exactly right. And that brings us neatly to the next stage, what we call the assay office, from raw ore to a fortune in gold. So you've come back from the secret mine. Your digital bags are heavy with this raw ore, this messy document full of quotes, complaints, cries for help from Reddit. That's ore. It's incredibly valuable. But in its current state, it's not really usable yet. It needs processing. It needs to go to the assay office. Think of it like where experts analyze the ore, sort it, and turn it into pure refined gold. In our framework, the assay office is your AI assistant, Claude, Gemini, whatever you prefer. We'll use a series of 3 highly specific prompts. Each one tells the AI to act like a different kind of expert to systematically process this raw data into actual validated startup ideas.
Okay, got it. So part one, the sorting table. What happens here?
First, you take that entire document of Reddit quotes, all that raw ore, and you feed it into the AI. But you don't just ask it to summarize. That's too basic. Use a specific prompt, instructing the AI to act as a meticulous problem analyst. Its job is to read all the conversations and group them into distinct categories of problems. And critically, it needs to attach the most powerful direct quotes to each category.
Ah, so it structures the chaos, and the AI, like, boom, it gives you this organized report back. For a transition, it might look like pain point 1, pressure to meet unrealistic co-parenting standards with quotes like, "Gonna say this for anyone who reads this, and it's perfectly fine to think this sounds miserable." Or maybe pain point 2, co-parenting with abusive ex-partners with quotes like, "It's hard to co-parent with your abuser." Or even pain point 3, betrayal and infidelity recovery in co-parenting, with a quote like, "I don't know how to exist in a world where I have to share my son with this woman who helped destroy my marriage." Okay, this is a huge breakthrough, right? Suddenly you have clear, distinct, actionable problems laid out.
Yes, absolutely transformative. Then, part 2, the inventor's workshop. You take this organized list of pain points with the quotes, and you give it to the second expert in the assay office, the solution strategist. You use a different prompt, this time instructing the AI to apply proven business frameworks, think SWOT, maybe value proposition canvas, things like that, to generate potential products or services directly from those specific problems it just identified. The AI leveraging these frameworks might spit out a list like, Idea 1, safeguard co-parent, maybe an app specifically for abuse survivors navigating custody. Idea 2, co-parent AI mediator, perhaps an AI platform for real-time conflict mediation during exchanges.
And then maybe idea 3, transition app. And looking at the list, maybe that's the most powerful one. It's a simple, child-focused mobile app. Provides structured tools for parents and kids to manage transitions, communicate safely, maintain consistency. It feels like a scalable tech solution. It tackles the anxiety, the communication breakdown, and the lack of consistency people were complaining about. Okay, that's your idea. That's transition.
Exactly. You choose the most promising one. And this leads to part 3. The master blueprint. This is the final and honestly the most magical step in the assay office. You have your winning startup idea transition. Now you need to create the sales pitch for it, the marketing message. For this, you use the final prompt. You feed the AI the chosen business idea, transition, and the entire list of categorized customer pain points with all those powerful quotes you gathered. You then instruct the AI to act as an expert copywriter and generate a complete, detailed blueprint for a high-converting landing page.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, you said. The AI following these instructions, it doesn't just write generic marketing fluff, does it?
Not at all. That's the beauty.
It writes like a perfect mirror of the customer's inner world, is that right? It generates the headline, pulling directly from the raw emotion of the problem. Stop putting your child through hell every custody exchange. Wow. It writes the subheadline, speaking exactly to the target audience and their specific pain. Transition helps co-parents create peaceful custody transitions that protect your child's emotional well-being even when you can't stand your ex, unquote. And it even designs the features not as boring technical specs, but as direct solutions to the pain points you found on Reddit, like addressing, my kid asks me why mommy and daddy are always angry, or I don't know how to exist in a world where I have to share my son with this woman.
Precisely. Every single word on that landing page blueprint is derived directly from your initial research, from the mouths of potential customers. This is the magic of the framework, turning customer pain directly into a powerful, resonant marketing message. This isn't guessing what might work. This is listening to what does work, what resonates deeply.
Okay, so now you're holding this ultimate treasure map, the landing page blueprint for transition, generated by the AI. It contains the exact words you need to attract and convert your ideal customer. The final step then, Chapter 5, staking your claim, building your digital outpost. It's about turning this map into a real place online, a digital outpost where you can stake your claim and see if people actually show up. And this is where tools like maybe Lovable or other AI website builders come in.
Exactly. You take that complete AI-generated prompt, which is probably a long, detailed piece of text with instructions for headlines, colors, sections, all the copy, and you simply paste it into one of these modern AI-powered website platforms.
And then you click Generate.
You click Generate. And what happens next honestly feels like science fiction, still. In like less than 2 minutes, maybe even faster sometimes, a blank screen transforms. It becomes a complete, professional, really beautiful landing page for transition. It's got the calming color palette you asked for, the supportive tone, the emotional images, the FAQ section addressing those Reddit pains, the email sign-up form. All the elements specified in the blueprint are just there.
Wow. And this landing page, it's the culmination of the whole expedition, isn't it? It's not just a website, it's a validation tool. It's like a beacon designed to attract the very people whose problems you're aiming to solve. You can now share this page, maybe in parenting groups online, run a few small, cheap ads, and see if real people are willing to give you their email address for a spot on the waiting list. That's huge, because you can test actual market demand in the real world before you write a single line of code or spend serious money.
Absolutely. So just to recap our journey here. In probably less than an hour of focused work, you've gone from just a vague interest in, say, the relationships market to possessing specific, validated startup ideas and a professional-looking landing page ready to capture leads and prove demand. You didn't rely on some random eureka moment. You didn't let your own biases run the show. You just followed a system, a repeatable process.
Yeah, and that's the real power of this gold mining framework. It completely flips the old, often frustrating model of entrepreneurship on its head. You don't start with a solution looking for a problem. You start with a proven market where people are already spending money because they have real pain. You don't guess if people want it. You validate demand using real-world data, like search volume and trends. You don't invent marketing copy from scratch. You listen carefully to real customers in places like Reddit and use their exact words to connect. And crucially, you don't need a huge team of developers or massive funding just to get started. You use powerful, accessible AI tools like Claude or Gemini and these amazing no-code builders to create your first real business asset.
It's more than just a clever trick for finding ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It really represents a fundamental shift, I think, in who can actually become an entrepreneur today. The tools, the data, the methodologies that used to be locked away inside big, well-funded companies, they're now accessible to basically anyone with a laptop. And the curiosity to learn and apply a framework like this, the new unfair advantage, it's not necessarily having more money or better connections anymore. It might just be having a system for truly listening to customers and then building exactly what they're already asking for.
So your expedition awaits. You can become a modern-day prospector. Pick your continent: health, wealth, or relationships. Use the AI to map the terrain, find that specific niche, check for signs of life with Google search and trends, find your secret mine on Reddit, listen to those whispers of frustration and desire. Then take that raw ore to an AI assistant and let it reveal the gold hidden inside. Build that landing page. The opportunities are out there, truly hiding in plain sight within the honest conversations of people who are desperate for a solution. So the question we leave you with is, what startup ideas will you discover?